Okay, so today we'll see a concept called multi-threading. So first, what is the meaning of Nikhil? You are able to see, right? Hello, Nikhil.
Yes, Charan, I am able to see.
Okay, fine. So what is the multi-threading? What is the use of multi-threading? So don't only listen to this concept, understand this concept. So why we have to understand this concept? If you get questions from this concept, so you have to able to answer all those things. When you are keeping your resume and whenever you're adding points in your resume, so this is a must and should point. So these are one of the must and should point, and in this only two concepts are there. Okay, try to understand these concepts. So first, whenever I create application, so I'm just running my application and I'm getting the output. How my application is getting run, how I'm getting output. So if I want to execute this thing, so I have view did load. If I want to execute this thing, one thread should come here, one thread should take care of the ownership, and that particular thread will execute your function. It is not automatically getting executed, your thread will execute this. Suppose if I write let x is equal to 100 index. Now I'll put a breakpoint. I will see how it is getting executed. So just run your application. If I see here, when you go to this log here, we can check what is the CPU percentage, memory percentage, and below to that, we can see our number of threads. So what is the thread? Now it is getting executed. So here I can say now automatically the drop down will come, the thread one is getting executed, and now this thread is Apple main thread. So whenever you create a project, by default, one thread will be created. One thread will be generated. Whenever we say thread, threads are two types. Main thread will be there. Background thread will be there. But what my application is creating, whenever I say my application is creating one thread, and this thread, if I see here, it is a main thread. So whenever you create application, it will create only one main thread. If I am writing 100 classes, if I am writing 100 functions, this one thread will take responsibility to execute all the 100 classes and all the 100 functions. If my application is simple application, then no need. So it won't have much bundle. If my application is a big function, big application, then one thread cannot handle all the classes. So there we may get some performance issues. So what I will do? This will be created by Xcode. And default thread here I can see it is a main thread, and if after the main thread I have one more function called serial function. So what is the serial? So first it is a main thread. Now we have seen serial. There are two kind of operations always we can perform in our application. What are the operations? One is serial operation. When I say serial operation, if I am executing this, after executing this, then only this will be executed. Nothing but one by one. If I have two functions here, first function will be executed, then only the second function. If something is executing one by one, this kind of operations we call as a serial operations. The second thing, concurrent. Concurrent is opposite to serial. Here, one by one. If this is completed, then the second. If second is completed, then the third one. In concurrent, all the operations are parallel operation. Here, there is no sequence. Here, one thread will not wait for another thread. In the serial, one thread will wait for another to execute. Here, all together will be executed. Now, my main thread, what is doing? It is a serial. We will see why it is a serial thread. Okay. Now I have written some sample functions. One is to print apples, another to print strawberries, another to print balls. I have three different functions here. So here in the print apple function, I am just printing what is my thread. So now if I want to see whether my thread is main thread or background thread, we have inbuilt thread class. If I go to Foundation Kit, here I have an inbuilt class. In this class, I have a thread. Using this, I can find what is my current thread, whether my current thread is a background thread or main thread, what is the thread name, thread identifier, everything I can find using this. Now, if I want to make my thread sleep is nothing but if it is executing some operation, if I make it sleep, that particular time, here I have to provide the time interval. For that particular time interval, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 100 seconds. The thread will not execute, it will be in the sleep mode. This priority levels we will see after this. If I want to name particular thread, I can name. If I want to identify whether my thread is a main thread or a background thread, I have a property called main thread and it is a Boolean property. If this property returns true, nothing but the thread is a main thread. If this property returns false, it is a background thread. So in the print statement, I am using the same thing. If thread is a main thread or not. So here we are using the ternary operation. So what ternary operation nothing but if this value returns true here, it will print this. If this value returns false, it will print this. Okay. In the ternary operation, it will occur only for the bool value. So condition you are checking if condition is true.
Can you please explain about the ternary again?
Yeah, ternary I am explaining here. So here I'll write a condition. Okay. First, if condition is true, here I have to write the values like this. Two values I have to mention. So how it will execute? If this condition is true, the first value will be returned. If this condition is false, the second value will be returned. In this case, if I go to main thread, so this main thread is a Boolean property. This main thread is a Boolean property. So if this is returns true, after this ternary operator, I have this value. This value will be returned for the true case. And I have a colon and the false operation. This value will be returned for the false case. So I'm just printing whenever I'm calling this method, I'm just printing this. If my function is running on the main thread, it will print it is a main thread. If this is running in the background thread, it will print this. After this, I have a simple for end loop. I am printing 3 number of ranges. So here I have taken the range, and in this range I am printing the value. For 0, I'll take I, it will print once, then 1, 2, 3. Number of times, how many values are there? I am printing those values. For the strawberries, first I am printing a main thread or a background thread, then for end loop. For the balls, I am printing a main thread or a background thread, then the for end loop. So I will add this function in my viewDid load.
So in that range, it will be from 0, 1, 2, not 3, no, less than 3 or?
It will not print 3, it will print only 0, 1, 2 because we are taking half open range.
Right.
So I have given 3 functions and we will see how it will execute. Again, if I see main thread, my thread is a application main thread, and here it is saying a serial operation. When I say serial operation, it will always execute one by one. It is nothing but if it is executing print apples, then only it will go for the strawberries. If it is completed, then only it will go for the ball. So first, apples are printing, and here I am checking for the condition print apples is running on. It will check print apples is running on. I am checking my thread. What is background thread or main thread? Now this value gives true because here I have seen apples main thread. So it is printing main thread. And my values for I and 0 to 2, I am printing my apple symbol. To easily understanding, we are printing apple symbol. So this is nothing but unique characters image. Okay. And then I'm printing strawberries. Once strawberries running in the main thread and it is executing all the values, then it will go for the ball. This is how your serial operation will be executed. And as of now, I have not created any thread. What is the operation I'm performing? I'm performing in this operation in the application's main thread, Apple's main thread. So this is my Apple main thread. Since it is a serial operation, it will execute one by one. Any notes? So this you just copy from Google. So you search for unique character images. It will give you images. You just copy that image. Now I want to create my own threads. First, if I want to create a thread, how many classes in my application will support to create a thread? Here in our application, Xcode is creating a thread. Now we have a dispatch queue class. The first class is dispatch queue class. Using this dispatch queue, we can create a thread. We can create a thread. Now we'll see how we can create a thread using this. Here, a thread is not a different thing. So thread is also a variable we are creating. Let my thread name, I am taking it as a T. So you can take anything. I will take let thread is equal to. So my class, dispatch queue class. So I go to dispatch queue. So dispatch queue is a class. In this class, I have so many things. How to create a thread, how to give quality of service, synchronous, asynchronous. So we'll see all the functions, how it is executed. And here we have a global thread, main thread. Dispatch class initialization. And whenever you are creating a thread here, you should pass a name for this. Here I have two different operations. One, I can pass a simple name, and in the second thread, I have a quality of service, I have an attribute, I have other things. First, we'll go for a simple thread. So label, always give name for this. Whenever you're creating a dispatch queue thread, if it is your own thread, create a name for this. Sample thread I am giving. Now, in this thread, what are the operations now I have performed? I don't want to perform these operations in application thread. I want to perform these operations in my thread. What are the operations I'm having here? I want to perform here. So my thread always will have synchronous operation and a asynchronous operation. I have synchronous and I have asynchronous. So what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous here? When we see a application can create two kind of threads. One is a main thread, another one is a background thread. So here the synchronous, what it will do. If I give a operation as a synchronous operation, this thread will block all other threads. This thread will act as a main thread. Synchronous will always act as a main thread. It will block all other threads. Unless this is executing. Once this execution is completed, then only other threads they can execute. So don't ever give synchronous operation. It will act as a main thread. It will block all other threads. First, we will check with asynchronous. And asynchronous will act as a background thread. It will never block any other thread. It will execute on its own. It will never block. Never block any other threads. So first I want to check with asynchronous operation. Thread asynchronous. Now call what functions you want to call. I want to call apples. Apples I want to call strawberries. But now if I say I'm simply creating a thread, in this thread which kind of operation it will perform, whether it will perform a serial operation or the concurrent operation. By default, whenever I create a dispatch queue, it will always be created in a serial operation. Nothing but by default dispatch queue is a serial queue. In interviews, if you get a question, dispatch queue is always serial queue, and the operations, if I say serial, it will always be executed one by one. The view load, I'm calling my function. So the view load, my function name is a my thread. I'm just calling this function. My thread. It will come to my thread. When I am executing my thread, here I can see which thread you are executing. So now the thread is getting executed is thread 6, and here my thread name. So my thread name I have created as a sample thread. Why we have to name it? We can debug and we can see on which thread the current operation is executing. Sample thread, the current operation, and we saw by default dispatch queue is a serial queue. Now sample thread is nothing but my serial queue. It will always execute one by one. Now print apples executed. Now strawberries. Now balls. If you run number of times, now I'll disable my breakpoints. Will be same always. And here, whenever I say asynchronous, if we go, it will act as a background thread. Now whatever I'm printing, print apples is running in the background, strawberries also the background, balls also in the background. So this is how we can execute our operations. Your thread you are creating. Now what is the operation you want to perform? In this thread you can perform. Now it will never run on the application thread. It will run on my particular thread, and it is printing in the serial way. So this is a sample thread creation and running the application. Now we have only one thread. In an application, how many threads we can create? So if I go for the dispatch queue, the maximum number of threads I can create is 64. So I can create 64 threads, but we don't get chance to create all the 64. We may hardly create 3 to 4 threads. In the real time, we may hardly create this many threads, but this is the count as of now, the maximum threads what we can create. So in this, any dots are there? In a simple thread we are creating and we are running the operation.
If we write the function of int false, so the my thread function you mentioned you did wrong. No, not here. My thread function below if we write the function
Print apples.
yes. So both are in parallel.
No, this will be background operation. Along with this, this is the main operation. So this will be executed parallelly. Because this is the background thread I am performing, it will never block this thread.
Both are parallel.
Both are parallel, it will be executed. But the result, which one is executing first, the same result we can see here. When we say parallel operation, now this both are executing parallelly only. And if I say this is a asynchronous operation. So one after one only it will be executed. And this is executing in the background thread. This is executing in my application thread. So it is running an application thread. So in application we can create multiple threads. I want to create multiple threads.
If you write here thread dot sync, not async.
It will run on a main thread.
And both function will be parallel.
No. Main thread always it will be one time. Main thread will be always a serial thread. So whenever main thread you are creating, it will by default a serial thread. So synchronous always work as a main thread and it will block all the threads. Now we'll perform synchronous operation. So when I say synchronous, so it will be executing the main thread. It will by default a serial. So I don't need to mention whether you want to run in a one by one or a parallel. So here I want to create multiple threads. Three threads I am creating and the name. Three names I am giving. Now in the thread one, I want to print only apples. Thread 2, I want to print strawberries. Well, now if I execute this, what happened? Here up to this thread, it is a serial thread. And up to this, it is a serial. Up to this, it is a serial. But when I run this, all the threads together, the three threads together will run in a parallel way. Now this thread I am creating in a background mode. So this thread will not block any other threads. So what is the operation this is executing? It will not block any other threads. Thread 2 I am creating. So thread 2 also asynchronous have given, it is a background thread. And the thread 3, whatever I am creating, it is a background thread. If I execute this, these three will be executed parallelly, but which thread is executing first? The thread will give the output first. But first, here if I see, I am running apples first, but I got the ball result first. If I run it again, the result may be a different result. Now, ball, strawberry, and apple. Now apple got executed first. Now strawberry got executed. So here we don't know about the result, but three threads runtime is the same time, but execution time it depends on the thread performance. This is
Uh,
how.
One question.
Yes, Sultan.
So we made the threads asynchronous so that it may run background and parallelly actually.
Yeah, it's a
It
background
may
thread.
not block the this block. So if we make that thread to suppose synchronous and
Yes.
rest are all asynchronous, then what happen? Suppose
So in this case, if I make this thread synchronous, okay, it will become a main thread now. When
right.
it becomes a main thread, it will block all the other threads. So unless this operation executed, no other threads can execute their operation.
Okay, so first thread suppose I made synchronous, then it may block. So, but if I made the second thread synchronous, then what will happen?
Yeah,
First, the thread one will be executed.
thread one will be executed. When control comes here, this thread will block the third thread. So once this is executed, then only this will be executed. That we'll see one by one. So now
Okay.
So now here you have any dots in this parallel operation.
No.
In this parallel operation. Now next, if I make one thread as a synchronous thread, the first one I am making as a synchronous thread. In the parallel, you just tell them the result will be depends on the thread performance. It is not in our hand. So when you are executing a thread, multiple threads parallelly, the result we are not sure. Okay. Now the first thread I made it as a synchronous. So Apple will always print in the main thread. Then once it is executed, then this two will get executed. All the time this will be executed first. This two will be executed next. So always my Apple will run in the main thread. Once it is executed, the remaining two are the parallel operations because this is a background, this is a background. These two are parallel operations. Whoever gives output first, that will be printed. If I run it again, apples there will be no change. The apples there will be no change. Here I have a change. Strawberries executing first, but I got output for ball first. Then strawberry. No, this is so. Suppose I'm not making the first thread as a main thread, I'm making the second thread as a main thread. So what happens when control comes here? This will always go to the memory. It will start its executing. So it's already executing. Control comes here. Control says this is the main thread. So unless this block executed, the further control will not give block to the third thread. Once strawberry is executed always, then only the ball will be executed. So here the apples will started executing because this is started before my main thread starts. So it will be in the memory, this will be executed as it is. Now it comes to strawberries, it is on the main thread. What this strawberry will do, it will block this operation. Once it is executed, then only my balls will be executed. Always this is the same scenario. So balls always will be executed in the last. If I have any other operation, the other operation always after the main thread only. So this is a scenario. Any dots still here? So we have seen a single thread and a multiple threads, synchronous and the asynchronous. So here you'll get all these questions. So we may get question, what is the synchronous? What is the asynchronous? What if we create multiple threads? how it will execute. What if we create multiple threads? One thread we are making a main thread. So you just practice all this. Now we have a dispatch queue. Whatever you are creating a thread, and you are naming it. But now I don't want to create any name. I don't want to create my own thread. Dispatch queue will give you one global thread. So how I can use my global thread means I'll create a thread. Dispatch queue, and here I don't want to name it anything. I just want to create a global thread. The dispatch queue, this is a global thread that is available. So this thread I can use it anywhere. I can use it in any function. If I want to use this thread, again I have to come back to this function. I have to call this thread. But this is a global thread from any class, from anywhere. I can use this thread. In this thread also, I can perform a synchronous operation. I can perform a asynchronous operation. But the operations are same. The creation of thread is different. This is a custom thread. So I have passed only one operation. I have created a global thread. I have passed only one operation, and it is a asynchronous operation. And when it is asynchronous, it will print in the background, and I'm printing it. If this thread, whatever I'm creating, this also a serial thread. What is the thread you are creating using the dispatch queue? By default, every thread, it can be a global, it can be a custom thread, it can be any thread. It is a serial only. So I'll execute these operations also. So always it is a serial, one by one it will execute. And if I want to run a synchronous thread in the global, just make it as a synchronous. So it will run on the main thread. This is the only difference between synchronous and the asynchronous. Only difference is the thread creation. In this method and in this method. Now here there is one more thread available, the dispatch queue. Here I am creating my own thread. Here I am creating global thread. If I want to create a main thread, I don't want to give a synchronous operation always. I don't want to create a thread, then making it asynchronous. I don't want to create a global and making it asynchronous. I want to create one default main thread. How I can create a default main thread? The dispatch queue, it will give you the main thread also. So this is a direct main thread. In this directly I can execute the operation. So here I'm creating a main thread, and in this main thread if I create a synchronous operation also. So the thread now executed as a main thread. If you create a synchronous or if you create asynchronous, everything is a main thread operation only. But usually in the previous operations, if I say asynchronous, it is a background because it is my custom thread. It will take it as a background. But here the thread itself, whatever we are creating is a main thread, then it will not take care about the operation type. So I have created main thread and I'm performing a printf operation, and it will say it is a main thread. Now what if I make it is a synchronous operation? So thread we know, sorry, operation we know we can make synchronous or asynchronous. Asynchronous also on the main thread, it is giving me main thread. But you should never give a synchronous operation to the main thread. Why means here we are already telling that you should block all the operations. It is already blocking all the operations. On top of that, you are making it a lock here. So what will happen? It will become a deadlock here. It will not execute any operation. It will directly throw the error. On the main thread, you can never perform a synchronous operation.
What is exactly a global thread?
Global thread is a default thread that is available there. It is a default thread, and you don't need to create your own thread. Here, what I'm creating, I'm creating my own thread. I'm naming it my thread here. Here, a thread by default they are giving. You can use the thread anywhere.
But what the benefits means?
Here, so as we saw, we can create number of threads 64. Okay, in that 64, one global thread is available, one main thread is available, and these threads the limit is only 62 we can create. After 62 I cannot create any of these threads, but still I can use this thread because this is a global thread. Here we are not creating it again, it is already available, we are using this thread again already.
Okay.
So here this is not our thread, this is a thread that got generated by your class itself.
Okay.
And this thread we are creating on our own. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now if I run a synchronous operation on the main thread, so always it will give you the error. You cannot run. So in the backtrace it will give you giving a bad instruction. Okay, the reason it will give a bad instruction. So what I'm passing, I'm telling main and I'm telling a synchronous, and it will say on which method you are running. So why it is getting error. So all the backtrace it will give. So when you are getting some different kind of error, you just execute with a BT, nothing but a backtrace. It will give the backtrace where it got crashed. So here, as we see, we have created my own thread, and we can use a global thread. In the global thread, I can make asynchronous operation, synchronous operation, and we have created a main thread, and in this only asynchronous operation we can perform. Synchronous if we pass, application will be crashed. Here it is a background thread again. It is a main thread. It is a main thread. So this kind of threads we can create and we can execute. Now, as of now, whatever we have seen, it is everything is a serial operation. But our operation types are two operations, serial. If I want to make my dispatch queue thread as a concurrent thread, what are the things that I should follow? Because this question definitely will get what is the default operation for the dispatch queue. The default operation is a serial operation. How I can make it concurrent operation? concurrent operation. Dispatch queue, I'm making concurrent. So here, first we'll see the thread creation.